The Shadowblade Eldritch Knight is the highest damage build I've ever seen in Baldur's Gate 3 because of patch 8's changes to Shadowblade and the addition of Booming Blade to the game. The incredible damage output of a Shadowblade Eldritch Knight comes from the extremely high number of attacks per turn thanks to improved extra attack, War Magic, and perfectly balanced strike. War Magic grants an extra weapon attack after casting a Cantrip, which triggers off Booming Blade, and improved extra attack gives us 3 weapon attacks per action. And thanks to Resonance Stone, all our damage is doubled. Besides the jaw-dropping number of attacks, the Shadowblade Eldritch Knight also brings utility to your party in the form of Longstrider, Featherfall, Enhanced Leap, Knock, See Invisibility, Detect Thoughts, and so much more. To get started, choose Gale at level 1. Gale is the best choice for this build because he's the only character who is able to be an Eldritch Knight and still wield an upcasted Shadowblade. This is because in Act 2, Gale can absorb the Shadow Weave from a slain Thorm to gain a permanent level 3 Shadow spell slot. This spell slot can be used to upcast Shadowblade, making it deal 3d4 psychic damage instead of 2d4. Since Eldritch Knights never unlock a level 3 spell slot, this would be otherwise impossible. Gale origin characters also gain the Ring of Evasion from Tara during a long rest, which is a nice bonus. Since you can't make Gale a fighter from the very start, head to Withers in the Dank Crypt and then head to camp and change your class to fighter. From levels 1 through 9, we'll be building Gale as a typical two-handed Eldritch Knight fighter. For fighting style, we want Great Weapon Fighting. Great Weapon Fighting is a passive feature that activates when you roll a 1 or 2 on a damage die for an attack with a two-handed melee weapon. That die is re-rolled once. You can roll with the default stats just fine, but if you want to min-max, feel free to dump strength and max out intelligence and drink an elixir of Hill Giant Strength each long rest. We want intelligence because intelligence is our spell casting ability modifier as an Eldritch Knight once we choose that subclass. At level 2, we'll unlock Action Surge. Action Surge immediately gives us an extra action to use this turn. This is a powerful class action that becomes more and more powerful as we unlock extra attack and improved extra attack. Since it refreshes on short rest, don't be afraid to use this when you are up against a lot of enemies or are up against a tough encounter. Then at level 3, choose Eldritch Knight as your subclass. Eldritch Knights are warriors of spell and sword, weaving incantations that supplement their extensive martial expertise. You gain 2 cantrips and 3 spells along with a spell slot and weapon bond. Weapon bond is actually really great, making it so your weapon can't be knocked out of your hand. For your cantrips, you'll want Booming Blade, which we'll be using all the time in combat. Booming Blade strikes with your weapon, afflicting your foe with a resonance that hurts them for 1d8 thunder damage when they move. Since this is a cantrip, it works perfectly with Eldritch Knight's War Magic, granting us an extra attack after casting a cantrip, which we unlock at level 7. The other cantrip you need is Friends. Since we chose Origin Gale, this is our dialogue character and we want to succeed our charisma checks, and Friends gives us advantage on those checks. For your spells, you'll want Shield. You can use this spell as a reaction to increase your armor class by 5 and take no damage from Magic Missile. This is one of my favorite spells and makes you much more difficult to hit. The other spell I like a lot is Protection from Evil and Good. Protection from Evil and Good prevents possession and fear from all creature types while you have it on, not just the listed creature types, making you simply immune to possession and fear. The spell lists aberrations, celestials, fae, fiends, and undead as the types of creatures that you cannot be charmed, frightened, or possessed by, but turns out you're just giving yourself immunity to those conditions against all creature types. The spell is bugged though, however, and does not apply immunity to charmed against any creature types, but you are immune to frightened and possessioned, so it is incredible. For your expanded spell, choose either Longstrider, Featherfall, Enhanced Leap, Fog Cloud, or Disguise Self, depending on your party's needs. I would choose Longstrider if you don't already have it in your party. At level 4, you'll unlock a new spell and your first feat. Any spell is fine, we'll probably not be using it very often anyway, but more importantly, choose Great Weapon Master for your feat. This will add plus 10 to your damage rolls at the cost of minus 5 to your attack roll. You'll also gain a bonus action attack the same turn you slay an enemy or land a critical hit. When it comes to using this feat effectively, make sure to toggle it off when your chance to hit drops below around 70% and toggle it back on when your chance to hit's really high. Gloves of the Growling Underdog help a lot with landing attacks since you gain advantage on melee attack rolls while surrounded by 2 or more foes. To get the most value from these gloves, you'll want to also toggle on non-lethal attacks. This way, when you slay an enemy, you will also keep advantage since they aren't really dead. Svartalbee's Wound Seeker is another weapon that will help you land attacks since it grants a 1d4 bonus to your attack rolls against wounded enemies. If you have a cleric, have them use Guiding Bolt, Bless, and so on. And at level 5, you'll get a huge power spike with extra attack. You can make an additional free extra attack after making a weapon attack. This makes each action we spend by making a weapon attack even stronger by granting us a total of 2 weapon attacks per action. At level 6, we unlock our second feat. I would choose Savage Attacker. This feat allows us to roll our damage dice twice and use the highest result when making melee weapon attacks. This feat is stronger than you might think because it also re-rolls your damage riders. Not only that, but it also stacks with great weapon fighting, re-rolling your die once if you roll a 1 or 2, and then one more time for each roll, and then using the highest result. This feat basically is giving you advantage on your damage rolls. And at level 7, we'll be getting yet another major power spike. We gain War Magic. You have honed your body and magic for war. After you cast a cantrip, you can make a weapon attack using a bonus action. Since we'll be using Booming Blade each turn to attack, each turn we can use our bonus action to make a weapon attack now. This is a huge improvement, and our Eldritch Knight can now make 3 attacks per turn at a minimum. We can also learn 2 more spells. I chose Gust of Wind and Darkness. Gust of Wind could be situationally helpful to reposition the battlefield or get rid of Cloud Kill or other problematic clouds, and Darkness can be helpful to provide cover for crime. At level 8, we gain access to some great spells, learn Misty Step, and replace one of your old spells for a better one. Most of the best options are utility spells, so your choice will depend on what your specific party needs. For your feat, choose Ability Improvement and put 2 points into Intelligence. Since Eldritch Knight's spellcasting ability modifier is Intelligence, this will help for the times we do cast spells, but don't worry too much if you have low intelligence. We're changing class next level and we will change our ability points completely. So at level 9, head to Withers and change class. We're going to go fighter again, but we're going to build around Shadowblade this time instead of a 2-handed weapon. To get started, choose Fighting Style Defense. You gain a +1 bonus to armor class while wearing armor. Nothing else is useful for us since we'll be using Shadowblade, and our offhand will always just be a stat stick. You can actually hit R or click the 2 swords in the bottom left, and that will make it so you never actually attack with your offhand weapon. For your abilities, you'll want 8 strength, 16 dexterity, 14 constitution, 8 intelligence, 12 wisdom, and 16 charisma. We won't be needing strength since we're going to bind our hex weapon, making our attacks use our charisma modifier, and once we put 1 level into warlock, our spellcasting ability modifier will become charisma as well, so we won't need intelligence, and our Eldritch Knight spells are entirely utility anyways. We're going to choose the same cantrips and spells we chose previously when leveling up, but we are going to get a different feat this time around. This time, choose Ability Improvement and put 2 points into Charisma. We're going to be maxing out Charisma as much as possible. For your second feat, choose Savage Attacker. This build has a ton of damage riders and attacks and will get a lot of value from this feat. For your last feat, get another Ability Improvement and get Charisma to 20. Once you're 8 levels into Fighter, put your 9th level into Warlock. For your subclass, choose the Hexblade. Any cantrip selection is fine, but Eldritch Blast can be helpful to destroy doors or rubble that are immune to psychic damage, which does happen. At level 1 Hexblade, you gain Bind Hexed Weapon. You'll want to use this on your Shadowblade at all times. This makes your Bound Hex weapon attacks use your Charisma modifier instead of Strength or Dexterity. There's also a chance that Hexblade's Curse will be applied to the target. Hexblade's Curse adds your proficiency bonus to damage rolls against the target, and the number needed to roll a critical hit when attacking a cursed target is reduced by 1. For your spells, it doesn't make too much of a difference, but I would make sure to get Expeditious Retreat if you don't already have it, since we'll want to be concentrating on a spell. Hellish Rebuke can also be useful if an enemy near death attacks you, and you can finish them off using a reaction. At level 10, go back to putting a level in Fighter. At level 9 Fighter, you'll gain Indomitable. You have become as durable as an Iron Golem. Whenever you fail a saving throw, you can roll again using the new result instead. You can also replace a spell. I would get rid of Darkness and pick up Hold Person. Hold Person can give us guaranteed critical hits, which can in many cases guarantee one-shotting your target if you don't already. At level 11, level up Fighter to level 10. You'll gain Eldritch Strike. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, it has disadvantage on its next saving throw against a spell you cast before the end of your next turn. This is perfect for if you want to attack and then cast Hold Person, or attack a target and then cast a scroll. Most targets will die after you attack them once, but if you're up against a tough target, Eldritch Strike sets you up perfectly to follow up with a spell. For your cantrip, nearly any is fine. Don't choose Light though. Shadowblade gives you advantage on your attacks if you are at least partially obscured, so you don't want to be in well-lit areas. The spells you should have are Hold Person, Misty Step, Shadow Shadowblade, Featherfall, Enhanced Sleep, Longstrider, and Shield. No need to replace any spells if that's your lineup. Finally, at level 12, get your 11th level of Fighter. You'll now gain improved extra attack. This gives you 3 attacks per action, and your bonus action can be used to make yet another attack if you use Booming Blade with one of your attacks. Combine this with Bloodlust Elixir and you're looking at 7 attacks per turn. Add Action Surge and you can get up to 10 attacks per turn, and so on. You also gain a spell this level. Choose any that suits your taste. And that is the build. And next up are the best pieces of equipment for your Shadowblade Eldritch Knight. The best helmet in the game for the Shadowblade Eldritch Knight is the Helmet of Grit. When the wearer has 50% hit points or less, they have an additional bonus action. This will grant us 2 bonus actions per turn, which means we can use one of them for an extra attack through War Magic, and the second for a perfectly balanced strike from Belm, which actually uses our main hand weapon for its attack. To get to 50% hit points or less, you can easily just cast Transfuse Health on any friendly NPC, and the Helmet of Grit can be found in the Tsar Palace in a locked opulent chest in the room with the Cursed Corpse of Victoria. The best cloak in the game for the Shadowblade Eldritch Knight is the Cloak of Protection. Since we're playing a Gale origin, we don't have the Deathstalker's Mantle, which would be perfect, so instead this nice +1 AC and saving throw cloak is the next best, and you can buy this off Tally in Last Light Inn. The best armor in the game for the Shadowblade Eldritch Knight is Armor of Persistence. If you don't have a cleric to give you Warding Bond, this armor gives you excellent survivability through Blade Ward. This gives you resistance to piercing, bludgeoning, and slashing damage. You also gain a 1d4 bonus to saving throws, and all incoming damage is reduced by 2. It's an excellent armor that you can buy from Dammon in Act 3. The best gloves in the game for the Shadowblade Eldritch Knight is Legacy of the Masters. These gloves grant a +2 bonus to attack and damage rolls with weapons. Since we'll always be giving our targets vulnerabilities to psychic damage, this +2 always turns into +4, and since we are making 4 or more attacks each turn, this really adds up. Legacy of the Masters can be purchased from Dammon in Act 3. And the best boots for the Shadowblade Eldritch Knight are the Disintegrating Nightwalkers. These boots grant you Misty Step, and you can't be enwebbed, entangled, or ensnared, and can't slip on grease or ice. They're great boots that get the job done. You can find them on Nier in the Grimforge. And the best amulet for the Shadowblade Eldritch Knight is Broodmother's Revenge. Whenever the wearer is healed, their weapon becomes coated in magic and deals an additional 1d6 poison damage. As a Hexblade Warlock, each time you slay an enemy that has Hexblade's curse, you gain your Charisma modifier plus your Warlock level and health back. The amount doesn't matter as much as the fact that you're getting healed, since it's activating Broodmother's Revenge. The effect lasts for 3 turns and can be found on Korga's corpse. And the best ring for the Shadowblade Eldritch Knight is the Strange Conduit Ring. While concentrating on a spell, your weapon attacks deal an additional 1d4 psychic damage. This is perfect since we're giving everybody vulnerability to psychic damage through Resonant Stone. Good spells to use to keep concentration are either Protection from Evil and Good or Expeditious Retreat, or whatever works. The ring can be found inside an elegant chest in the Inquisitor's Chamber in Kresh Yelek. The other best ring for a Shadowblade Eldritch Knight is the Ring of Arcane Synergy. When you deal damage with a cantrip, you gain Arcane Synergy for 2 turns. Arcane Synergy causes your weapon attacks to deal additional damage equal to your spell casting ability modifier. At max level, this should be at least +5, but since we cause psychic vulnerability, it really adds up to +10 damage, and the ring is worn by Gish Farang in Kresh Yelek. And the best weapon for the Shadowblade Eldritch Knight is the Shadowblade, no surprise there. This weapon grants advantage on attack rolls against lightly or heavily obscured targets, and it deals 3d8 psychic damage when upcast using a level 3 spell slot. Since neither level 11 Eldritch Knight nor level 1 Hexblade get a level 3 spell slot, Gale is the best choice here since he can absorb the Shadow Weave to permanently gain a Shadow spell slot, allowing him to create a 3d8 Shadow Blade when this build otherwise wouldn't be able to. You can learn to summon the blade as a level 8 Eldritch Knight. And the best offhand in the game for a Shadowblade Eldritch Knight is Belm. Belm grants you a bonus action attack called Perfectly Balanced Strike. However, instead of using Belm to make the attack, it uses your main hand weapon, which is our Shadowblade. When combined with the Helmet of Grit, this allows us to use both our bonus actions to make main hand attacks each turn, which is incredibly powerful. Belm can be found in Elarathan's home in an opulent chest in the basement. And the best ranged weapon for a Shadowblade Eldritch Knight is Vicious Shortbow. This bow adds 7 damage to your critical strikes. It's pretty broken since that turns out to be 14 damage, and combine this with Hold Person and you're looking at a whole lot of bonus damage each turn. The bow is sold by the Echo of Abazagal.